All right, so I made a couple videos recently just showing off the new cinematic camera in DCS 2.9. And in those videos, I've kind of attempted to replicate the camera setup in the Top Gun Maverick movie. I did a bunch of research on this, looking into how they had the camera set up. There are 4 cameras in the back seat pointed at the actors that are in the back seat, and then there's actually 2 more cameras. There's 6 cameras total inside the cockpit. 2 of them are on the center rail on the canopy, pointed over the shoulder of the actual pilot. I was really impressed with the movie. I loved it. It was so much fun to watch. So I wanted to see what we could do with the new cinematic camera, since we can just go right back to it instead of it being reset back to the wing like the F4 camera. So in the last one I did, it's the scene where Tom Cruise flies over the top of the mountain down into the target, and I asked if anyone wanted a tutorial on how to get those views. So the first thing you need to do is fly the route that you want to fly, or whatever you're doing, a dogfight or however you want to do it, and fly the entire mission the way you like it until you're happy with it. Once you're happy with it, save that track, and you're going to have to replay that track multiple times, each time with a different view. Trust me, it's better this way, in my opinion, because whenever I've made a video, even non-DCS videos, I used to like to edit videos a lot before DCS, just for fun. I just did it as a hobby. And what I learned is the more footage I could get, the better. Like if I had 100 gigabytes of footage and I only used 2 gigs of it, I was fine with that. I needed more than I would actually use. I want as much as I can get. So what I would recommend is, after you've flown the mission or the storyline or whatever you've done, or the canyon run, however you want to do this, you're going to have to run it back a few times, each time with its own view. So, or you can switch between the views if you want, but that's how I do it, which is how they did it in Top Gun. Except they had all 6 cameras running at the same time. When they were done, they had 6 different videos of different angles that they could just throw together in any way they wanted. And the reason that I think that is more effective, I know that sounds like a lot, but in my opinion, it's because you might not see something until you play it back, and then you go, oh my gosh, this angle would work way better here. And if you don't have that, you got to go back and record it again. So in my opinion, it's better to just run the whole thing through. So in this case, it was a really simple, quick little, 10-second flight where I just fly up over the top of this little hill here. So let's get started. Right control F2, and we'll get rid of that bar at the bottom. So you hit left, hold down left control and hit the letter Y twice. There it goes. Now in my first video, I called out 2, 4, 6, and 8 to move the camera around, but somebody added in a comment that you can actually use WASD, and I didn't realize that. I took a look at it, and sure enough, you can use WAS and D to move the camera around as well. And then you can use Q to go down and E to go up. All right. And then you can scroll with your mouse wheel to move forward or back. You're still going to need right control / numpad / and numpad asterisk to zoom in and out. So with WASD, you can fly around. So the camera's going to go wherever you point the mouse. All right. So you're going to come around here and get in front of the pilot and use WASD, Q, and E to get it where you like it. So one thing to note, you got to look at the camera setup that they used in Top Gun. They had these 4 IMAX cameras right in front of the actors in the back seat. 2 of them were on the outer edge, pointed away from the actors, and you'll see these when you see the formation shots, where it's kind of pointed away from the actor, but it's got more of a, it's not a fisheye lens, but it's got a very wide field of view. So you can still see the actor and the wingman in fingertip formation. Then there's the one camera on the bottom in the center, and that one is pointed directly at the actor. And you'll notice the lens on that one is different from the others. It's not a wide field of view lens. It's not like a fisheye type lens. So it's a different type of lens, and it gives you a very close up of the actor's face. And you'll see these in certain scenes. And in what I call the over-the-top sequence, where Tom flies up the mountain, rolls over, and goes over the top of the mountain, they start off with that center view straight at his face. And it's kind of right here. So you want to hold down left control to slow down the movement. If you let go of left control, it moves a lot faster. Right? So hold down left control and you can move a little slower, a little bit more precise movements. And you want to get the mask, the nose line of the mask, as center as you can in the frame, but you want to be eye to eye with the pilot. So actually be a little lower here. So about right there. Now you can see in the scene, the wings, you can't see the bombs. And I can see the top of the bomb on the right wing there, which means I'm not exactly I'm not exactly centered. It's probably as good as I'm going to get. But you can see in the shot that you can only see the tops of the wings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point the angle of the camera up a little bit to kind of get that view. It's the best that I can do with what we've got here, without being able to change the focal length or the type of lens that we're using. But this is pretty close to what it is in the movie. You can kind of see just the top of the wing, and that's about as close as I can get. And from here, you start recording in OBS or whatever screen capture you're using, and unpause the track and let it play through and record the entire flight with this view. All right, and then you've got that shot in the entire flight. Then go back, run the replay again from the very beginning, pause, and get your shot. The next shot's actually going to be the camera that they have on the canopy in the center rail over the shoulder, over the left shoulder of the pilot. So we're going to zoom out here, and we're going to move the camera. Now, if you look at the D model, which is what they were flying in the Super Hornet, I know this isn't a Super Hornet, but in the D model of the rail, the center rail on the canopy is about right behind the ejection seats. So that's where the canopy camera would be. So we're going to get right about here and then move forward just a little bit, because if you look at the shot, you can barely see the head of the ejection seat, and you can see that the center of the frame is actually the left mirror on the front canopy rail. So we're going to try and put that right in the center. Use that left control, and you don't want to go too far, because you can see right here the camera is halfway in the canopy, halfway outside. You don't want that. So try and get as close as you can, and then move the camera, orient it so that it's looking directly at the mirror. And you can see in the shot, the mirror is actually a little lower than center. So I'm going to move the camera up a little bit, and it is definitely zoomed out. We almost have the entire helmet in view. So we're going to zoom out and move forward. There we go. This is with control, so it's hard to get it exactly where you want it, but there we go. Just a little bit of the seat there. We are kind of outside the canopy on the top left, so we're going to move in a little bit. There we go, and forward a little bit. All right, there we go. I think I'm trying to get it perfect. There we go, perfect. That's what we want. And we're going to point down a little bit so that we get that mirror. Well, actually, no, we want the mirror a little lower. And I think we got a little too much of the helmet here, so we're going to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. All right, good. And then from here, we're going to unpause, let the track play all the way through, and record the entire flight with this camera view. All right, the next camera view in this sequence is the top of the 4 cameras. So if you look at the camera rig, you'll see that camera on the top kind of angled down just a little bit, down towards the actor, and you can see the lens is different. It's much different than the one that's below it, the one that's face-to-face with the actor. And that top camera lens is more of, I keep saying fisheye because it's the best way I could describe it. It's more of a bulbous lens, and it's so that you get that really wide field of view. So we're going to get that same shot. We're going to try and do our best here. So we'll get right in front of the pilot here. Same thing. Want to get as centered as you can to the nose of the mask. And then you want to lift the camera as far up as you can, about there, because if you look at the camera position and then you look at the shot in the movie, you can see the 2 tails sticking out the top of the ejection seat. Now, because of our focal lens that we are stuck with on the cinematic camera, it's this is the best we're going to get. All right, so now we're going to point the camera down just like it is in the movie, down at the pilot, and we want to get kind of the same field of view. So we know that in the shot, the top of the ejection seat is about center frame. So we're going to put the top of that little nubbin on the top of the ejection seat there in the center. We're going to try and put it in the center of the frame. So about right there. And you can see, we can barely see the top half of Tom's upper torso, chest. So that's about where we want to be there. Next, look at the sidewinders. And the sidewinders I've got here, I've got them way too far in. So I'm zoomed too far out. So we're going to zoom in. And I'd say they fill up about 90% of the screen, 90% of the frames. We're going to zoom in and out until we get about what we want. And then I'm going to point the camera down a little bit, about there. There we go. Now you can see it in the frame in the movie itself, you can't see the tips of the nose of the bombs. You can only see the nose fins, and that's as far as you can see. So again, we're doing the best we can with the camera that we have in DCS. So this is as good as we're going to get, at least that I've found. I have not found a way to change the focal length of the cinematic camera or change the type of lens that the camera has. It's just a single view. You get the zoom in and zoom out, and you can move it around, and that's the best that you can get in DCS. So you're not going to get it exact. The idea here is to try and mimic it the best you can. All right, and once you got this, unpause, record the entire track with this camera view. And that's it. That's all 3 cameras. Put those 3 cameras together in any way you see fit to create a really cool action sequence in a dogfight or a canyon run. Have fun. Hope this helps.